warrior movie. I wonder if we have that one in our collection here. Religulous. It's just exposing all of the contradictions, not only in Christianity, but it goes after Judaism, it goes after Islam. He goes after all the contradictions in all the religions. Just amazing exposure of the silliness and ridiculousness of these contradictory ideas that really aren't religious at all. It's just the ego playing religion under the name of God. And it's just the same old, it's the world.
I was given the Bible, a friend of mine. She thought I was twisted with this Course in Miracles. She gave me the Bible, and a few days later, I actually think it was the next day, I walked into a bookstore called Quran in Brisbane. And here was this book that I absolutely had to own. It's the biggest book I've ever bought. I think it weighs about 5.5 kilos. And it's this thick, and it says Bible Contradictions. The
Bible's this thick, it is. Yeah. That's beautiful. The thing about it too is, once you start to look at the contradictions in all the different world's religions, then, and you really can't teach it because contradiction is of the ego, and we're told, teach only love, for that is what you are. So, I remember when we first showed Religulous, Jenny was just laughing hilariously through the movie, and then as we were walking out of the theater, she said, that was like therapy, like laughter therapy, the whole movie showing the contradictions, but it's only for your own mind, it's only to see the impossibility of the ego, and when it's taken as something else, when it's taken to beat somebody over the head, like, you fool, you've been following a bunch of contradictions, are you an imbecile, can't you wake up to the reality, that's all the misuse of it, the ego just fighting against itself, just beating itself up. But the beautiful thing is, once you start to see the contradictions, then that's what healing is. You just see that it can't be believed. You see that, oh, the ego just tried to make up a substitute for God, and it made it its own theology, and its own religions, and its own rituals. But the whole point is to see that the ego is not real. So that's when you see that you don't have to convince anybody, there's nobody to confront, there are nobody to challenge, there's nobody to debate. I mean, I have so much fun, even if I'm in the Bible Belt or with Jehovah's, and I mean, all these people that seem to come in contact with me, because I have nothing to debate. I'm into peace, and I'm not into theology. And I did finally discover that you have to discard the theology of A Course in Miracles. For those people that stay identified as Course in Miracles teachers, oh boy, that's going to sink you in the end. The Course itself in Lesson 189 says, forget this world, forget this Course, and he ain't joking. The theology of A Course in Miracles is as big of a lie as everything else. People say, what do you mean? Well, let's take one of the core teachings. Into eternity, where all is one, there crept a tiny, mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. Can you see what's false about that? Can anyone see what's false about that theology?
It's saying it happened.
It's saying it happened. And the whole teaching of the Course is the atonement, is the awareness that the separation never happened. Wow! And what does he say about the atonement? It's the sole responsibility of the miracle worker, and then he says another point, the sole responsibility of the teacher of God. So the majority of A Course in Miracles, of course, is a lie. It's just another lie. Because why? Because it's another theology. But I think of it as like a trampoline. Yeah, you just hop on the trampoline, and the purpose is not to stay on the trampoline. The more you bounce on a trampoline, the higher you go. Until finally you can just fly. You fly away from the trampoline. But this is why, in the end, some of those things that Carolina and I talk about bringing Course teachers together, it's nothing. Finding having a growing Course in Miracles community. I had a man years ago who was always writing to me about the Course in Miracles community, and I still get some of those emails where they say, we have a fragmented Course in Miracles community, and I just was like, you gotta be kidding. You know, I don't see that, and they think I'm like an ostrich with my head in my sand, but I don't see a fragmented Course in Miracles community or a fragmented anything. It's just the world is whole, and so therefore there's no causes, you know. I mean, the Course is just a symbol among symbols, and it's just one form of the universal curriculum, but I put it on the web just because that was the path that I seemed to take, and so if others find it helpful, fine. If they don't, maybe they just find I Heart Huckabees and they like the blanket, the little thing, you know, that Dustin Hoffman does, and they go, got it! What's outside the blanket? More blankets. So it's all the blanket. There's nothing outside the blanket, that's right. You know, it could be something as simple as a simple little metaphor. And the other thing about the Course is, you know, it's over 1,200 pages, and Helen Schuckman one time did say, at last a pathway to God for intellectuals. But really, if you look at this whole world, there are really, overall of the 6 billion people, there's not really a lot of intellectuals. It's the intellectuals think that they're like a majority, but out of the 6 billion, let me tell you, the intellectuals are the minority. And so, A Course in Miracles is a path for the intellectuals. I mean, it's clearly obvious that you don't have to, all this stuff about having a healthy ego and that some teachers talk about, that's just a bunch of baloney. You don't need to have a good ego before you can let it go. That's a contradiction in terms. That's just crazy, and it doesn't matter who promotes it. That's an intellectual idea, as if the intellectuals are saying, well, we have at least made some semblance of survival in this world. What? It's an illusion. How can you reach an achievement of survival in an illusion, and then tell other people that they have to develop a good intellect or a good ego, healthy ego, before they let it go? That's faulty teaching. That's not the truth. And so this is a course in an undoing, and words are but symbols of symbols, twice removed from reality. So in the end, when you start to go at this, you start to realize that you really have to apply what this is teaching, and the more you do and the faster you do, you have more of these aha experiences where it's like, oh, it's so simple. I can't believe I got duped into believing all this complexity and all these contradictions, because none of them are essential. None of them are actually helpful. There's not one single contradiction that has any value or help. And so this is really about transcending the Course, you know. The Course was never meant to be something that you use as a crutch. I mean, if you use crutches, the whole point's to be able to toss the crutches away. You know, not to go around beating people over the head with your crutches or hanging on to your crutches. If you could stand up and walk and you don't need a wheelchair, why would you stay in the wheelchair? You know, it's just a temporary device, you know, for a little while, and then you have to let it go. So